Dave, good afternoon. I just wanted your opinion on kind of the topic of conversation around baseball today about those unwritten rules. What's your opinion in a game like that where seemingly it may be out of hand, even though there's some time left, to swing on a 3-0 count?
There's a lot of layers. I think that everything, I think that I came up in a day and age where unwritten rules were sort of abided to and were kind of universally accepted. I think that things are changing and some good, some not so good. I recall a game the other night, a few nights ago, where I gave Mookie the take sign on a 3-0 count. We were beating the team up, I think it was San Diego, and he ended up hitting a 3-1 pitch for a homer the next pitch. But nowadays, and as I kind of looked into last night and heard a lot of back and forth, you see both sides. So there's a lot of gray. I do think that teams score 5 runs a night. We did it twice last night, where it just changes the landscape, the dynamic of how you use your pen. If you don't add on and tack on. So I see it both ways. I think for me personally, I flipped a little bit more about just playing to win the game and keep playing. And, teams that are trailing, they're not stop trying to score runs. And so I learned a little bit more, and I might have changed kind of way I see things from last night's incident.
Thank you. With Gonsolin today, what would you like to see him do to kind of take his game to the next level, if that's even possible?
I think it's just more innings pitched, more repetitions facing major league hitters. His last turn was really good. The split change was on point. The fastball location was great. So I think he just got to continue to mix and match. And this is a different ball club. Swung the bats really well yesterday. There's not a lot of familiarity on both sides. So just continue to execute pitches.
Thanks for your time, Dave.
Yep, you got it, Alana.
Next question is from Dave Bassett. Go ahead, Dave.
Dave, is it fair for people to be wondering why the Rangers pitcher Ian Gibaut just got suspended for 3 games throwing behind Machado, and Joe Kelly got 8 games? Is that a fair question to ask?
Yeah, that's a very fair question. Yeah, that's a very fair question. And I didn't realize, I know that when the commissioner's office deems that a pitcher is throwing intentionally at a player, there's an ejection. If there's not an ejection, they can look back and impose a suspension. But I do believe that should be dealt with in the same capacity, and clearly it wasn't. So I just learned that from you. So that doesn't make sense to me.
How is Joe Kelly doing? How's his shoulder feeling?
Joe's doing okay. He played catch yesterday. I think he's off today, and it's kind of then we'll gradually progress him. So as he is on the IL, then at some point he's going to be active to then serve his suspension. At that point, whenever that is, he'll be ready to go. But right now he's still going through his progression.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Next question from Jorge Castillo. Go ahead.
Dave, just on the Tatis thing again, just zooming out. Do you think it's a problem for Major League Baseball that instead of talking about the talent that he is and what he did last night, we're here talking about, unwritten rules and the ball being thrown behind Machado? Is that a problem that Major League Baseball just continues running into, in your opinion, or do you think it's all well and good?
I think this is it's a topic that I think fans, media enjoy talking about. I think that internally the Padres are taking care of it. I think that Manny's response as far as understanding why the ball was thrown behind him Hosmer telling the Texas bench that we'll take care of it. Tatis is a tremendous talent. I don't think that's lost on anyone. There's a lot of layers, Jorge. I think that the unwritten rules certainly have changed, should change. And, the more each passing day, we've got to continue to break some of those rules, and that's a good thing.
Chris, Woodward's I'm sure still a friend of yours. Have you talked to him?
No. That's something that I'm happy I'm not mired in.
Okay. And we haven't seen. I don't think we've seen a lineup yet. Is anybody in particular out, or day after?
No, it'll be Austin catching. It'll be Muncie at first, Kike at second, Corey, then JT, then Taylor, Bellinger, and Betts, and then AJ will be the DH.
I'm just wondering with Turner, he had a DH day and then he got a day off. I know he's been back in there. Are you being maybe extra careful with him this year just to make sure he's ready for October?
No, I think that just looking at 17 days in a row and trying to figure out how to maximize his field time the most, the DH day in the middle of, I think it was, 6 or 7 games in a row, to get a DH day to get him off his legs, to then follow up the day after night to get him off, to then now run him out for the next 5 games, I think just makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Next question from Ken Gurnick. Go ahead, Ken.
Here we go.
Hi, Kenny.
Okay. Hi, Dave. 2 things. Getting back to Kelly, in the original suspension, it was mentioned that he's a repeat offender, and that probably is one of the reasons why his penalty was so bad. And he's going to be a repeat offender for the rest of his career. So isn't this something that he has? Not only does the club have to be aware of, but he has to be aware of that if he gets involved in anything, he's going to be dealt with more harshly than someone who hasn't been an offender.
That's absolutely fair. I didn't think about it when I heard the question earlier from David, and I think that gives me more context. And I do believe that, yeah, the repeat offender, if that's the commissioners and that's what's been deemed the history, I certainly think that that's a fair way to look at it.
Okay, and also Alex Wood, can you update his situation?
Yeah, Alex is going to throw a 3-inning simulation here at about 1:15, 1:30, and I expect it to go well. And after that, he would, a couple days later after that, Thursday, Friday, he'll throw a pen, and hopefully it comes out of that. Then we'll figure out when to do a 4-inning situation with Alex.
Thank you.
Yes.
Next question from Bill Plunkett. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Dave. We
Hi,
talked to Cabert Ruiz this morning, and he told us about his experience going through COVID-19. With the handful of guys that you have who went through that, do you see any physical limitations, any problems that they've had as a result?
No, I don't. I have heard from, like we all have from other sports where it might be a little bit more physically demanding, I think, as far as not having the intermittent work like baseball players do. But I haven't, I think that I haven't really dug into any particular pitcher, which you could probably kind of look at the workload and what it takes as far as physical tax on your body, how they're dealing with it. But for me personally, for our guys, I haven't really noticed.
With Ruiz, what have you seen him as far as his development the last year or so? What strides has he made? What pieces still need to be put in place?
I think for me, the biggest stride that he's made is in the left-handed batter's box. And nothing more evident than the swing he put on his first major league hit, home run. Fastball, pulls his hands in, elevates the baseball to the pull side and backspun it, where I think that, you know, as he was coming up, the bat to ball was always good, but there was a top spin that was coming around the ball and putting the ball on the ground to the pull side. So that's something that PD and Cabert have really kind of tackled and really shown great strides. I think that from the right side needs to continue to clean up his path to the baseball. And also I think the catching, just the receiving, for a young player, certainly advanced, but the receiving, just the relationship with the pitchers needs to continue to improve.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
We got time for one more. Go ahead, Ron.
Hey, Dave. Adam Cleric had a pretty nice showing his last time out. I know when he went to the alternate site, you had talked about him working on his arm slot and having to face both lefties and righties. And I'm curious what reports you got back from that, and then what you saw from him kind of yesterday with that work.
I thought Adam came up big for us, like he has many times over in the past. When he did go to the secondary side, we did want him to stay from under versus left versus right. And I do think that, you know, there were some counts yesterday that he got behind, found a way to get himself back in the count, but the consistency of the throw was there. And that's what we were looking for. And then sometimes I think that in summer camp, it bled into the left-handed hitter as he was trying to attack the right-handed hitter from above, then to drop back down. So Adam is a special teammate, player, person. Just the buy-in is there. He's got a great head. And like I said, he's just come up big for us time and time again.